Okay, so this series I've been working on is trying to highlight stress in people when they wouldn't necessarily suspect stress to be a factor. Like I've touched on, people tend to think of stress as being this overt mental thing that we feel, but ultimately stress is a physiological state that your body is in, and it can be in this chronically, and it starts to affect the way you think, it starts to affect the way you look at the world, and it permeates all aspects of your life, and you'll find all these other symptoms such as cold hands, waking up in the middle of the night, insomnia, digestive issues, and all that. So again, I'm always trying to figure out, well, what's the missing part, because we know we've got 20 billion physical therapists on the planet, and back pain is still an issue, chronic pain is still an issue. So we're clearly missing something, or there's something that we're not addressing. So I always like to look a bit deeper. And this, I think, is particularly relevant now and should be particularly visible now, because all topics seem to be so polarized, and everyone seems to disagree with one another. And it's the idea that it's your ability to argue sort of rationally, calmly, from a detached position versus argue from a place of emotion. And obviously there's value in being able to argue emotionally and rouse people's spirits and all that sort of stuff. But too much we're seeing nowadays, people making emotional cases for something and detaching themselves entirely from facts. And it's influencing society, it's influencing people's lives. And it's a very clear sign of physiological stress in the person who is arguing from that point of view. So in the simplest terms, when your body is running efficiently, your metabolism is healthy, you are calm, collected, you can detach yourself. It's sort of the aim of something like meditation. You want to be able to have thoughts appear in your mind and just notice them and just let them by, without getting agitated and saying, oh no, I'm angry about that, or oh, that worries me, or whatever it is. It's that ability to observe and remain detached. And it doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion and that you can't feel strongly about something, but always having that restraint. And I think that that's really what it boils down to, is that ability to be restrained and to be measured requires more energy versus acting automatically, acting on instinct doesn't require as much energy. It's driven by stress hormones. That sort of reaction is driven by stress hormones. So I think, again, I'm trying to hold up a mirror to people who might not be finding a cause for their pain, and they might be saying, well, no, I'm healthy, I eat well, I do this, I do that, but then maybe they're deeply entrenched in some sort of political view or societal view, and that's not the issue. It's their inability to not be emotionally invested, and really what that is a sign of is that their brain is running on an energy deficit. So again, like I said, the point is uncommon signs of stress, for you to really reflect and see, okay, yes, my body is stressed, I need to try something different. Here is this place where my body is manifesting stress and an inability to cope and to be restrained and measured and calculated with what I do. So I think this is a huge topic, and you probably wouldn't think it has anything to do with pain or stress or chronic pain, but like I said, it's really, really, I think it's really topical. And I think, as a general rule of thumb, anytime there are tremendously polarizing topics where there are two distinct sides of the debate, the rule of thumb should be that there's a grain of truth on both sides, and that the truth is, or that there's usually room for compromise. But more and more the media wants to make it seem like we're very divided, and I think ultimately people generally want the same things. It's not that they want different things, they want the same things, but they maybe disagree on how to attain those things. So they want people to be happy, they want people to have good things, but they disagree with how to necessarily attain that. And both will make valid points, but Again, I'm going on a bit of a tangent, and maybe I should do a longer video on this, a proper podcast on this. But yeah, my point is, hopefully this is something that should be in front of you. It's unlikely in this day and age that you don't have a strong position, you don't have a strongly held belief, whether politically or socially, whatever it is. It's unlikely that you don't have some sort of strong belief about something. So maybe you could analyze that. Can you detach yourself from that? When you think of that, are you overwhelmed with emotion? Can you have a discussion with someone on the complete opposite side without shouting at them, or without hating them, or without wanting them to die, or whatever it is? That's pretty extreme, but it's also not that uncommon. Can you begin to reflect and see, am I having my thoughts, or are my thoughts having me? So I think that's an important way to think about it. Are you having a knee-jerk reaction in your head, and you're having to follow that, versus you have a knee-jerk reaction and you reflect on it and you say, yeah, okay, I see the merits of that, but let's detach ourselves from that. Let's maybe see their perspective. Oh, this is why they think that. This is why they see things that way. And if I were in those circumstances, I would see things that way. But I value this more, and they value that more. Therefore, we're never going to fully agree on this. And the ability to do that is, I think, a sign of, well, I know it's a sign of a healthy brain, and that's, I want to use those words carefully, because it's not to say that you have a bad brain or a broken brain or anything like that, but we tend to get stuck in patterns of thinking and beliefs because it's more energy efficient to do that, and because there's all sorts of reasons we want to belong to a group, we want to fit in, and or we want to distinguish ourselves from a group and fit in with this other group that's distinguished from the masses, or whatever it is. So there's all sorts of motivators behind what we believe and how we think and what we do. And I think, again, we're trying to find those little signs that indicate that the body ultimately is in a state of stress. You might not feel mentally stressed, but physiologically your body is dependent and running and over-relying on cortisol and adrenaline and often estrogen. And that's basically, at that level, I always think of sort of hierarchies of importance. Your back pain or whatever is peripheral. It is not relevant to your survival. So your body has to take care of your brain, your heart, your lungs first and foremost, and it works its way out. So if there are rations, if there's a certain amount of energy in the body, it's going to go preferentially to certain areas. And again, the back pain, all that other stuff becomes an afterthought because it's not necessary for survival. And if this is sustained long enough, your body changes the way it uses energy and it adapts. And it's great that it can adapt, but it causes damage, and it takes a lot of work and time and healing to undo that damage. And so we can get stuck in this way of thinking. People can, and I'll touch on this in another post, but learned helplessness. People can basically get to a point where they believe they've got no agency over themselves. They've got no control over their life. And that's something you will see now. People believe that they're complete victims to whatever is going on in society. And there might be a grain of truth to that. There might be elements of truth to that. But how much is that the environment of their brain, the environment of their body, making them predisposed to think that? So yeah, hopefully that makes enough sense. I know it's a bit of an offshoot from what you might expect, but very important. I think really we need to start looking at things at this level, rather than here's another way to do hip mobility because we've figured that out. We don't need 20 more million ways to do that. Unless that's what you want to do. So yeah, let me know what you think. Share this with someone who's maybe deeply entrenched, or maybe gurus that you follow. Maybe they believe this is the way and this is the only way, and start to question that. I don't think that's a sign of health. I think a sign of health is being able to see the merits in all sorts of different things and pick and choose, and state a rational position and explain why certain things work and don't work, rather than why yours is the only way to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So there you go. Let me know what you think. Share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll see you in the next video.